Pat McAfee just proved Buckeye fans right with what he just said. We got to break that down, and we get an injury update on Ohio State's best player. We're going to be breaking that down as well. What it means going forwards. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Columbus Football 365. Guys, only 5.9% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. But getting into the news for today, coming from College Football Game Day and Pat McAfee, he said the one team that we know is going to be representing the Big Ten is this Ohio State Buckeyes team. The conversation with them is they only have UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan left, but they have made everyone look not good at football. Some people want to question whether or not they're calloused. If you get a fourth win in the fourth quarter with no timeouts, you can lean on that later in the year, but they have absolutely bull rushed every single team they have played and may do that all the way to the national championship. Here, Pat McAfee is echoing a sentiment that I have been talking about the entire year. Yes, the Ohio State Buckeyes schedule isn't as difficult as the top teams in the SEC or, pretty much the SEC. That's what everyone's talking about. They're saying Ohio State doesn't play the teams as tough, but it is still possible for Ohio State to do this for the entire year. One of the points that I want to make that I've kind of been stuttering through, the Ohio State Buckeye defense, currently the number one ranked defense in terms of points allowed per game this season. We are number one. Indiana is number two. We are only allowing 7.5 points per game. Indiana is allowing 11.6 points per game, meaning we have a 4-point buffer between us and the second best defense in terms of points allowed in the league. If we played better competition, we would allow more points. Yes. But however, we've built up a 4-point buffer, meaning should we have played stronger teams, we would still be the number one ranked defense in terms of yards allowed and points allowed. The gap just wouldn't be as large. It would be a smaller gap, but we would still be the number one team. So the argument that, Ohio State is only able to have these extremely impressive stats because of how easy the schedule is just flat out not true. I know some people are reserving judgment for the Michigan game, whether or not they're going to talk about how good Ohio State is, but the stats right now really prove that this still is an elite team. The number one thing you have to do to prove you're an elite team, or not to prove, it's just one of the boxes you need to check, is you need to blow out the teams that are not on your level. Grambling State, Wisconsin, both shut out, and then Minnesota and Ohio held to single digits while we ran up the score. That's what we were able to do against those one-sided matchup type teams. And then the other ones that we faced later on in the season, the tougher teams, Penn State, Illinois, Washington, none of these games were close. We are blitzing every single team because Ohio State is just proving every single week that how dominant we are, and we are clearly deserving of the number one overall spot in the rankings, as evidenced here by Pat McAfee. But I also said in the beginning, we had an injury update for Jeremiah Smith, who was not 100% going into the Bruins game, as he only played for part of the first half before getting benched. Smith finished with 4 receptions for 40 yards on 22 snaps, as Buckeyes head coach Ryan Day said they were playing it safe with Smith. Now, Jeremiah Smith is dealing with some sort of injury, as I put up that for some reason. Dealing with an injury is Jeremiah Smith, and also Carnell Tate, our other talented wide receiver, also dealing with an injury. Currently, Carnell Tate did not play against UCLA, but we can expect both of these guys for the future, as we have more from Sports Illustrated. So far, the Buckeyes have played this smartly by keeping Tate out and Smith limited. It may even be smart for the team to do the same thing in Week 13 against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, as they could go win that game without both guys. Get them healthy, and then go on to the regular season finale against the Michigan Wolverines. Ohio State got some life from the running game with Bo Jackson leading the way, as CJ Donaldson was out with an injury against UCLA. Buckeyes quarterback Julian Sayin can still play at an elite level without his top wide receivers. Now, I know a lot of Ohio State fans were a little bit worried because honestly, it was the announcer's fault. They were showing Jeremiah Smith on the sidelines, walking around, standing there with the towel wrapped around his neck, and everyone's going, oh no, this is how it ends. Like, this is obviously the worst thing that could have possibly happened. Our best player dealing with an injury, not sure at the time what it was, not sure, is he going to be okay? Is he being held out because it's precautionary. Is he really, really hurt? We now know, we heard it from Ryan Day today, that Jeremiah Smith was held out in that second half as a precautionary measure, and we are just playing it safe with both of these injuries, which is the exact right thing to do. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are too important to risk getting them injured against a team like the UCLA Bruins. We have to make sure that we are positioning our team to be healthy when the games matter most, and the games matter most starting in 2 weeks when we visit the team up north and take on our rivals. Should be a great game, but we've got to make sure our best player, Jeremiah Smith, and what would be their best player, Carnell Tate, is healthy as well. It's about, for this team, it's about making sure that people are healthy and peaking at the right time. And while it is great and it's more fun to blow out UCLA and blow out Rutgers and bring out all of our top players for each and every single game just to flex our muscles and see what this team can do, it's significantly smarter to keep those players as safe and as healthy as they can possibly be. Football, very unpredictable, very dangerous game, as everyone watching this video understands. We got to make sure that our guys are healthy. Michigan matters a whole lot more. And after that, the Big Ten championship game matters more. The college football playoff matters more. There are bigger fish to fry. So do not be surprised if we watch a limited Jeremiah Smith and an out Carnell Tate versus Rutgers, although we will have more updates on both of these players as we go later on through the week. Now, Ohio State, we still have some, somewhat interesting matchups coming up. I know everyone just wants to talk about what's that Big Ten championship game going to look like, and that Indiana versus, right now, looking like Indiana versus Ohio State. Unless someone loses to a team that they really should not be losing to, that game should be an absolute masterpiece. Indiana, as I showed earlier, the second best defense in the country right now. Ohio State, the number one defense in the country. But this team has the feeling of a team where Coach Ryan Day is holding some things back. Like we saw last year, it felt like at the end of the year, after we lost to Michigan, it felt like the sky was falling. And then once the college football playoff started, we saw that we were holding things back offensively, and we had more in our game plan that we weren't showing teams in the regular season, because this team's goal was to win a championship last year, which they eventually did. And we can expect this season a bit of the same from our coaching staff. We are holding back in the regular season in preparation of bringing out some new schematical things, some new concepts that other teams haven't seen. I mean, if we don't need to show our best hand in the regular season, why would you ever go out and put your best plays on tape? We don't want to even give our opponents the ability to scout our best stuff, and we want to make sure that we are keeping everything that we can under wraps right now while we are moving into the end of the college football playoff or season into the college football playoff. And now, just one more thing about these games, about playing it safe and holding guys out. Even if we were to lose one game, it wouldn't be the end of the world. We would still make it into the college football playoff at large, or depending on how tiebreakers work, even with a loss to a Rutgers or to a Michigan, still can make the Big Ten championship game, get that automatic bid. We still have everything going for us with all the great coaching staff, the great players. So do not worry if, it looks a little bit hairy. If you are someone who is worried about playing it too safe, even if we lose, we are still going to have the opportunity to prove that we are the best team in the playoffs. It just may end up with us going on the road for that first playoff game, or not getting the first round bye, honestly, like we did last year. I mean, there's a whole lot of conversations of rest versus rust when it comes to that having a bye week in the first round of the college football playoff. Do you even want the bye week, or would you rather have the home playoff game? Of course, common knowledge says you always want the bye week because you don't want guys getting injured, and you don't want to put more film out there if you don't have to. But last season, every single team with a home playoff game won their home playoff game, and every single team with a bye lost that first game coming out of the bye. But, I mean, a lot of those games were mismatches, like Penn State versus Boise State. That was a mismatch on paper with a group of 5 team versus a power 5 team. There was also Notre Dame facing Georgia, where Georgia's quarterback Carson Beck had a torn UCL, so he wasn't in for that game, and we were watching Gunnar Stockton for the first time. So really the team coming off the bye or the team not having the bye had an advantage over the team with the bye. So I don't think that stat is perfect where you look at all the teams that played in the first week of the college football playoff won 2 games and all the teams with the bye lost. I think there were a whole lot of underlying factors, or maybe not underlying, but just other factors other than bye, no bye. So if you are Ohio State, definitely want to go for that first round bye. Want to make sure we just take care of business against Rutgers, take care of business against the team up north. On paper, we are significantly better than both of these programs, but the games aren't played on paper. They're played on the football field. Right now, we got a couple game losing streak against our rivals. It's time to change that in 2 weeks, but that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking the time to watch it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Buckeyes.